Hi, today I want to talk to you about finding your writing style. Now, the good news is you already have a writing style because you write. Even if you don't write often or regularly, you still write and you'll have a way of communicating and writing that is unique to you. However, for most of us, that style is unintentional. So it's probably happened naturally, organically, without too much thought and purpose behind it. So I hope that this video will give you some things to think about on how you can be more intentional and proactive in finding your writing style. Now, I have a sense that the reason many of you wanted me to talk about this is you believe that you need to have a writing style before you can write publicly, regularly and often. That is not the case. And anyway, if you want to find your style, you find it by writing. You aren't going to find it by waiting or reading or thinking. You find it by writing. You find it by doing. So the first step you can take is to look around, look elsewhere at how other people write and how other people communicate. Even better if you can look at people who do very different work from you, who work in very different fields. So what can somebody who wants to write about fashion learn from how Brian Cox communicates science? Okay, so see how other people do it and beg, borrow and steal the bits that you see, the styles that you hear that really land with you and that you think work well. The second thing is to ask somebody, ideally a friend, somebody that you trust and respect, and just ask them to talk to you about how they find your writing. Now, this doesn't need to be a big, serious, in-depth feedback conversation. It can be as simple as, how would you describe my writing? How do you feel after you've read something that I've written? What do you think makes my writing compelling? And see what you get back. So these answers will be signals. They will give you signals as to what your style is, and you can decide to dial those signals up or dial those signals down. The third thing is to write like you talk and talk like you write. So this is a fun one because I am smack bang in the middle of it. Because what happens when I make these videos, I then go through an editing process where I create subtitles and I then have to edit those subtitles. The subtitles show up every single pause, every filler word, every word that I say twice, every word that I might say wrong. And I am really convinced that going through that process once, twice, 3 times a week is making me not only a better writer, but also a better speaker. So I want you to try and speak to an app. So there's a few going round. Google does it. There's also one called Otter, AI, that will turn your voice into text. Because what happens when we write is that we edit ourselves. So most of us, when we sit down to write, as we go, we are centering ourselves, we are checking our grammar, we are thinking about the structure. And that's why you hear so many artists and writers talk about the long slog of hard work they had to do to get to a place of creativity where they don't censor themselves. That first phase is about writing, being in flow, without editing, without censoring. And then once that part's done, you go back and do the editing. And that's what this idea of writing like you talk and talking like you write helps you get there. And the last thing to say on this is finding a writing style takes time because it's unique to you. And it's something connected to revealing something of yourself. And anything like that takes time. So it comes with time and consistency. And I heard this amazing quote recently from Anne-Laure Lecumph, who runs Nest Labs. And she said you should write to learn, not to shine. How lovely is that? Write to learn, not to shine. I just think it's beautiful. So I hope these ideas have given you some takeaways, given you some actions and food for thought around how you might find your writing style. If you've enjoyed this video, please like it, please leave a comment, please send the video to somebody else. All of these things help me reach more people. And if you write something new, I would love to read it. Thank you for listening. Bye.